So we'll go live. We're on?
Yes, go ahead.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. I'm Tremaine Wright, Chair of the Cannabis Control Board. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And today we are in the Queen City of Buffalo.
I'm sorry, we can't, it's hard to hear you. Can you make sure your mic is turned on, please?
Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. So good morning. Thank you. Welcome. I'm Tremaine Wright, Chair of the Cannabis Control Board. It's great to be here with everyone. Today, we're in the Queen City of Buffalo with our host, Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. I want to say thank you for your generosity and for providing space for our meeting here today. Recognizing that we have a majority of the board present, I'm pleased to call to order another meeting of the Cannabis Control Board and to welcome all of you who are participating here in person, as well as those who are watching via our real-time live stream. So please note that board member Ruben McDaniel is joining via live stream from a location that is open to the public, as stated in our board meeting notice. And board member Jessica Garcia is joining remotely from a private location due to extraordinary circumstances. As always, this meeting will be recorded and the transcript will be available to the public on the Office of Cannabis Management's website, cannabis.ny.gov. Additional information on Cannabis Control Board meetings is always available on the site. So today's agenda will include brief remarks from myself, a review and approval of our meeting minutes from our May 30th meeting, consideration of adult use retail dispensaries, an executive director's report, then public comment, and then we'll adjourn the meeting. So as you all know, we are continuing to roll out dispensaries across the state. If you remember, on December 29th, 2022, the first adult use cannabis retail dispensary opened in Manhattan. And tomorrow, in Syracuse and the Bronx, we will see openings of additional card dispensaries, actually our 14th and 15th openings. Both will be the first dispensaries in their respective regions. Over the coming weeks, we anticipate several other dispensary openings throughout the state. Many of our licensees are making strides to secure and open locations, either with the assistance of the Social Equity Fund or independently. However, no matter the path our licensees select, opening a dispensary is a lot of work. It demonstrates commitment, and we want to acknowledge the hard work, the perseverance, and the leadership of our card entrepreneurs. The office will continue to support our licensees with press releases as dispensaries continue to open, so please make sure to check in on our website. At today's meeting, we will be continuing to grow the number of card entrepreneurs because we'll be considering 36 card applications. Approval of this cohort will bring the total number of provisional card licensees to 251 from regions all across the state. And included in this group are applicants who are the first applications to be considered from the Finger Lakes region. So now let's move on to review and the approval of our meeting minutes from the May 30th meeting. May I please have a motion to consider and approve the May 30th, 2023 board meeting minutes?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion, concerns from the board? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous. And the motion to approve the May 30th, 2023 board meeting minutes carries. Now we're going to move on to our next point of business. May I please have a motion to consider resolution number 2023-23. It's a resolution issuing conditional adult use retail dispensaries.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. Before we begin discussion, any recusals from this discussion?
Madam Chair, as I've done in the past, I will recuse myself from this portion of the meeting, and I will turn my camera off now.
Thank you. And now I'll ask Damian Fagan, the office's Chief Equity Officer, to please provide a brief overview of the card applicants before the board today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Buffalo. I want to acknowledge today that our Executive Director could not make it. This is, I believe, his first board meeting that he's had to miss. It's for a good reason. His daughter's graduating kindergarten today. So I do want to wish you a congratulations to a special little girl in Queens today. We'll see Chris at the next one. I'm happy to present an additional 36 conditional adult use retail dispensary licenses for the board's consideration. The licenses before you today include licensees across the state, including an additional 28 from the 5 regions that were previously enjoined. We are happy to see access and licensed regulated cannabis products expand across the state and look forward to working with them to become operational and open their dispensaries. Additionally, as mentioned before, this is our first opportunity to issue card licenses in the Finger Lakes region. Having retail options across the state also helps more farmers get their products to market, and having retail options that are closer to their businesses is good for both. I want to give a shout out to our license review team, who has worked very diligently to review and score over 900 card applications that were submitted. They are working tirelessly to cure deficiencies and move applications forward. As you know, the applications were not simple, and it has been a great accomplishment to get where we are now, and that's because of the licensing team. And so thank you to those folks on the team for their tireless commitment to this program. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Damian. Is there any discussion, questions or comments by the board members? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Dr. Gilbert Jenkins?
Aye.
Ms. Garcia?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. The motion to approve resolution number 2023-23, resolution issuing certain conditional adult use retail dispensary licenses carries. Thank you. And now if you can, someone let Ruben know that he can come back and join us. That'd be helpful. And then we'll move on to our executive director report, please. We'll hear from Damian and John. Yes, because as been noted already, our executive director is unable to join us today. So please, I think John is beginning. John Kagia.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and congratulations to our new licensees. Today, I'm very excited to share some of the important updates about the work that the office has been doing in our market rollout. I'm also very pleased to share that since our last board meeting, we've had the opportunity to support several of our licensees to operationalize their businesses. So as Madam Chair, you said, we're up to 13 operational retailers across the state. 5 are in Manhattan, 2 are in Queens, 1 is in Binghamton, 1 in Schenectady, 1 in Ithaca, and 1 in Plattsburgh, with 2 in Albany. And what's been exciting about watching this map expand is that we now literally have seeds of this retail market now planted right across the state, from the bottom to the top of the state, and this is going to continue to grow. We have our 14th and 15th locations scheduled to open tomorrow. The Syracuse location is opening with a large community-sponsored event, and we're very grateful to communities like Syracuse, which have been phenomenal partners in ensuring that all New Yorkers have access to safer, legal, regulated cannabis produced here within the state. The Bronx dispensary is a delivery-only dispensary, which we've seen as an attractive, low-cost model by which our licensees can get operational, even as they go through the process of finding the permanent retail location and building out those facilities. And so, particularly in the jurisdictions where, in the informal sector, consumers were used to having cannabis delivered to them, we think that this delivery model is going to do very well in the state, and we're excited to see that rollout of the first retail operator in the Bronx. Over the coming weeks, we expect to see many more licensees opening their doors, and particularly as those locations are matched, or those licensees are matched with their locations, this retail rollout will expand. A word to our consumers. Please do remember that every single dispensary that is legal and regulated by the Office of Cannabis Management will have a dispensary verification tool. That's a QR code that you'll see outside the doors of the dispensary that enables you to identify which dispensaries, which retailers are regulated by the office, are compliant with the office. And so if you are looking for that legal, safer, tested cannabis product grown by New York licensed farmers and processed by New York licensed processors, look out for that dispensary verification tool in the shops that you're walking into. Next slide, please. A very quick update to on our retail sales. Momentum is building. In May, through the end of the month, we saw nearly $7.3 million in sales across our operational dispensaries. That's up about 10% from our April sales. And as I mentioned at our last board meeting, April had been a blockbuster month due to the spike that we'd seen in retail sales, stimulated by 4/20, one of the biggest selling cannabis days of the calendar year. So to date, we have generated nearly $23 million in sales, and that momentum is continuing to grow. And while currently about 21% of New Yorkers are living in a jurisdiction where cannabis is, where retail dispensary is now operational, we fully recognize that this is just the beginning. Having one dispensary in the city is just the start. Ultimately, this is going to be an industry that operates at the community level, at the neighborhood level. And we are very much looking forward to the continued expansion of this retail access, given the scale of product that we are currently sitting on, that we have available and we have ready to go. One final point about the sales figures. We are starting to see some of the retailers who had opened initially as pop-ups now beginning to transition into their fully built out locations. And that transition process will generally entail them closing their doors for 4 to 12 weeks as the build outs happen, the stores get retooled and scaled up for their final kind of setting before they reopen and continue to serve customers. So, we may see some kind of fluctuation in our retail sales over the coming weeks as a few of our stores begin that renovation process and transitioning from pop-up to fully built out stores. But we also expect that given the rate at which new stores are opening, the reduction in sales that we might see from the stores that are closed will be offset by the launch and activation of our new retailers, like the 2 that are opening in Syracuse and in the Bronx tomorrow. Next slide, please. So the product mix in New York has been incredibly steady since this market launch, which has been very interesting to see. Even as the number of stores and the jurisdictions where those stores are operating have expanded, the share of products being sold has remained quite steady. We continue to see that about half of the products being sold, 51%, is flower. We continue to see very strong performance by pre-rolls in this market, accounting for 15% of the market, and that remains double what we're seeing in other jurisdictions. But really, part of what is driving the demand we're seeing for our legal regulated product, what is driving consumers into the store, is the richness of the diversity of products that we have in these stores. The quality of the extracts that are available, the novel ingredients that you're seeing being integrated into these products, the expanding number of AUCCs that are coming on to the market and bringing on their exceptionally grown flower. We're even seeing, kind of innovation in the beverage sector in a scale that really is very exciting and almost unique to New York. New York has been the beneficiary of 2 decades of innovation in legal regulated markets. And If this portfolio that we see in our legal stores currently is just the first generation of products in our market, I think we're facing a very exciting future ahead for very rich product diversity, for a very broad range of selection, and critically for retail access for consumers, both through retail stores and through delivery, that will enable cannabis consumers across the state to enjoy the finest quality products that are coming out of our legal regulated market. This is just the beginning. We'll be at 15 by this weekend. We have over 40 additional operators that are in the final stages of building out the operations. And there's much more to come. So we'll continue to share these market updates and share these insights as we capture them. But we appreciate the opportunity to present this perspective on the market. And I hope it is affirmative of the rich opportunity that we see in this market, even as we fully recognize that there's quite a lot more work to be done to get stores open and to get these high quality products into the hands of consumers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take it from the, thank you, John. Next, I want to share some important updates from the office's enforcement efforts that kicked off last week with the new authority from the critically important legislation signed by Governor Hochul on May 3rd. This legislation expanded the office's ability to enforce against illicit cannabis businesses and include strengthened penalties for unlicensed cannabis sales, aligning the enforcement measures for untaxed cannabis sales with those of untaxed cigarettes, introduced a Class A misdemeanor charge for unlicensed cannabis business operators and landlords who knowingly lease retail space to them. Through coordination with the Department of Taxation and Finance, OCM enforcement team conducted raids last week at 11 illicit cannabis dispensaries in Manhattan and are conducting additional actions this week in upstate areas. More details to follow on those after the actions are completed. The actions resulted in a notice of violation for each illicit business visited, which is pictured on this slide. Illicit businesses are prohibited from removing this sticker while the administrative hearing process proceeds. The enforcement actions also resulted in the seizure of all cannabis products at the illicit dispensary, with additional penalties based on the amount of cannabis seized. Additionally, there is a max penalty of up to $10,000 per day, which amounts will ultimately be confirmed through an administrative legal process, with potential additional penalties and consequences if sale continues at these illicit business locations. OCM and partner agency staff will be checking back on inspected locations to ensure the sale of illicit cannabis products has stopped. By taking a decisive action against unlicensed dispensaries, New York State is taking a significant stride towards eradicating unlawful cannabis operations that jeopardize public safety, consumer well-being, and the integrity of what we're building. Moving forward, the New York State's Office of Cannabis Management remains steadfast in its commitment to identifying and shutting down other illegal, unlicensed cannabis operations across the state. With an unwavering focus on enforcement, the OCM will continue to work diligently in close collaboration with local law enforcement agencies across the state. This is just the beginning, and we look forward to providing future updates to the board on enforcement actions as they ramp up throughout the state. Barring any follow-up questions from the board, that wraps up the update from the office. Thank you, Chair Wright.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board related to that update? Okay. So for our next order of business, we'll be, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Jess.
Yeah, sure. I guess, as John was making his presentation, and I know that over the last few meetings, we've had quite a number of card applicants come to the board to express their frustration with different elements of the program. I was really curious to hear from perhaps Damien in this instance, although John, if this is you, please chime in, a little bit more about what OCM has been doing and shifting around to help card applicants as they're trying to get their retail dispensaries up and running.
Absolutely. So as many of you know, there was a meeting with card licensees in the last few weeks. And, we got a lot of that feedback directly. A lot of very important points were made by some of the licensees who are struggling to operationalize. On behalf of the office, we have worked pretty diligently to respond to that feedback. We've streamlined our location approval process. We've dedicated a lot more staff to assisting with that. I was literally just on the phone before this, talking to someone who's got a location on 7th Avenue in Manhattan. It's an all hands on deck thing to make sure that our card licensees have everything they need to get open. We've received since last December, since we started to offer folks the bring your own location option, over 300 location submissions. 146 of those locations have been approved. In the last week alone, we've received 40 location submissions. And in the coming weeks, we will have a location verification process zoning tool that will facilitate the process even more. But thank you for bringing it up. We are working very hard internally to the best of our ability to streamline this process for all of our licensees to facilitate their operationalizing their businesses. John, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Thank you, Damian, and great question, board member. I think the one thing I would just add to Damian's remarks are that one of the things we're also working very hard to do is ensure that our card licensees know that we are here to help. I understand that this may be a slightly unconventional experience for people given their historic experiences interacting with government, but we are here to serve the cards. And so just over the past several days, I've personally spoken to several licensees who didn't realize how accessible we are. We want them to feel comfortable picking up the phone and reaching out to us. We want them to feel comfortable to email us, even if the questions seem simple and basic. Our mission here is to ensure that we can get these businesses operational and work very closely as partners to our licensees. And so just wanted to reiterate that commitment for the licensees who may be listening. We're here to help. So please do not hesitate to reach out rather than kind of feeling like you're working independently. The team is here to support you. That is our single mission.
Thank you, John. The last thing I do want to add, because I mentioned it at the advisory board meeting on Tuesday, please reach out to our academy. They are running the accelerator program for the card licensees. I think some folks had it confused that they had to pay for it, but it's paid for by the state. It's vetted. They have very experienced cannabis operators ready and willing to help you figure out how to operationalize your license and open your doors. Thank you.
Any other thoughts, concerns that related? Okay, so for our next order of business, we'll be moving on to our public comment section. Again, we will not be answering questions, but we will be taking time and asking everyone to limit their speech to no more than 2 minutes.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Manager, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that the next item was going to be comments, and I guess along the same veins, I wondered if the team could also talk about what we're doing for cultivators, because I know at the last meeting, honestly, that was just heartbreaking comments from the farmers upstate, and I did want to just ask if there is anything that we're thinking about to support their efforts to unload all the product that they have been so carefully tending and producing for the market.
And Madam Chair, I also want to say the same, especially here in Western New York. It's an issue. We have many farmers who've been hanging on for a long time, have made investments. And can somebody update us and them and the public on what we're doing for cultivators who have been working hard, investing in their own capital, taking risk? What are we doing?
And I just want to add that I thought that we had a proposal on the table that we were going to be discussing today that now seems to be off of our agenda last minute. So
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, the office internally, we're still fleshing out some of the details of how we can facilitate this a new program, offloading some of that product. I can't speak to the details right now because they are still being worked out, but maybe Linda, if you want to jump in, do you have any updates on?
Sure, thank you. We're looking into a number of potential solutions from a legal point of view, looking at the legal issues, and we haven't quite settled on the best or which paths forward can work. So don't have anything concrete at this time, but we're still looking into it.
You can go ahead and jump in if you like.
So I'm not sure how much of what has been presented to us already is going to change. I just wanted to make sure that we're looking into all possible options, specifically in the options that we've presented so far and that has been discussed in public of market type events. It seems that we were sticking very strongly to this two-tiered system. And one of the things I wanted to make sure that we're investigating is the option for farmers to sell directly by mirroring something like our micro business licenses, because that is an option where farmers can sell directly. And by making the farmers have to go through a card licensee means that the farmers aren't getting the benefit of selling their product to the utmost extent that they could. If we think about what the purpose of a farmer's market is, for a farm to be able to sell their product direct to consumer without having to go through another level of red tape and decrease their profits. And so I want to make sure that we are investigating all of these options and keeping the goal in mind that we're trying to help the farms that weren't able to offload their biomass last year.
I want to jump in there as well. I know that as we've been thinking about a number of proposals, some of them have really, although we are calling it a show, we were calling it like an event model, it really leaned in on utilizing brick and mortar spaces. And I would like for us to really be thinking a little bit more broadly. I love the idea of us leaning into fast pacing a transition into micro licensing, because I think that one of the gaps that came up for me was that the cultivators were still carrying the burden of holding product in some of the models that have been floated. It did not actually offload the product and put it into the retail side. So if we're going to be doing that, I think that then we really should be exploring what it looks like to give them the opportunity to transition into micro if that's what they want. And also, I think we have to be very concerned about what pricing looks like. And so that was one of the other concerns, because I'm not sure that we've tackled that completely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right, yeah, and I was just going to add that in one of the proposals that is floated by us, if we know that a product can be sold for X amount, right, and then the card licensees were able to purchase biomass from a farm and then up the cost by 50%, we know they're going to up that cost by 50%. So by saying that they can up it that much, that means that the farmer is therefore getting that much less. So we need to make sure that we are helping the farms here and not helping the card licensees. They're going to have their day. Right now, it's the farmers from last year that have a lot of biomass that they need to get rid of that are looking for that financial support. And so we really need to be making sure that we are structuring this in a way that helps the farms first.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, well, I'd like to know, how long is this going to take? I understood that there was something that we were going to do this meeting. How long is this going to take to get this resolved? And if there's technical work in the office or legal work that needs to take place, how long is this going to take?
So I have not been given that answer. It was pulled off. I learned that it was being pulled late last night as well. So
yeah, so our proposals are, they're in the final stages. I think within, maybe next week, end of next week, we could have something to the board.
Is this something we might want to consider a special meeting for?
We can definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so because I think it's really important for us to speak as a board about it, and seeing as we can only speak together as a group in a meeting, then that needs to happen.
Perfect. Okay. I do think that there are a number of things at work, and it's not just one proposal that's floating, but as has been identified, there are a number of legal concerns, the way our law is structured. And so we may need to come up with applications and doing some things a little bit differently that we had not been thinking about. But I think that we can come up with a solution. And it also might mean that we need to shift and rethink about how the rest of the market is set up, because I do think as we're realizing how long it takes for someone to get a license and actually open a retail space, how do we fast pace some of them so that they know that they'll be ready for the crop that's currently being grown now? How do we have them prepared so they can receive it this fall? So I think there's an overhaul for all of us to begin thinking about.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to the resolution of the legal work that we're doing. I would love to be able to say that we're going to be able to resolve this within a week. And I know that there's huge expectations, but at this time, that would be difficult for us to say. I mean, us, the legal office at this point, because we're still grappling with a number of issues. So, but do understand the concerns and the expediency and the rest of it.
Okay,
Thanks.
excellent. All right. Thank you. Are there any additional comments from the board? Okay. So then we will.
Can I just
Yes.
quickly? So this is something that's been sort of weighing on me. We have these economic equity licenses, right? And so I just want to speak to the need to make this as fast as possible, because in any entrepreneur setting, whenever you have a new industry, the first people aren't cutting edge, they're bleeding edge. And so we took the people who were the most economically distressed and said, here, you guys get to be first because, and let's be honest, people were begging to be first. So it goes both ways, right? But we took people who are the most economically unable to handle the burden of being first. And so we're seeing the outcome of that, where the goal was to be as just as possible and to help lift people up. But because of what starting an industry looks like, there needs to be more quickly to support those people who weren't going to be able to make it through that in the first place, let alone being on the bleeding edge of the market. So.
Yes. Okay. If there are no other comments, I do want to acknowledge that we've been joined by Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes. Hello, thank you for being here with us. She's been guiding New York through this cannabis conversation for a number of years. So thank you very much for that. And thank you for joining us today. Yes. So I guess at this time, we will move forward with the public comment section. I'll be calling from the list. Though, please note, if you submitted comments electronically, those will be captured in the meeting, in our meeting minutes and posted on the website. All right, so now we'll begin. Our first commenter, remember 2 minutes, please. And the seating is here to my right, along with the microphone. So we have Andrew Kraus. And I have Andrew T. Kraus and then Andrew J. Kraus. All right, welcome, please. I think that we're using the mics over here on the right-hand side of our stage.
And speak right into it.
Thank you all for your time. Hello, my name is Drew Kraus. I'm here to talk about our journey. I'm one of the owners of Buffalo Kind. I stand here today along with my father, Andrew T. Kraus, our president. I'm here to fight for our survival. We're a family-run business, which has included my brother and one of my sons who are out at the farm today. We're 3 generations of cannabis farmers with no outside investors. My father started Hop and Hemp Tea, which has turned into Buffalo Kind, 2018. He was granted the hemp processor license, creating smokable hemp flower, oils, creams, teas, to include a few items. In January 2020, he was authorized as a hemp industrial research partner, invited to create strains and develop products. He grew indoors in a local Smith Street location in Buffalo under lights for 2 years, developing strains, being a community leader, giving lectures to people like Be Healthy Institute, Kenmore Mercy Hospital, to war veterans, guiding people how to use our products. Recently got his nursery license as part of our customers wanted to grow their own hemp. Then it all changed. We received the cannabis license in 2022 to grow our own. At that point, Dad asked myself and Derek, my brother, to join us and build the family dream, cannabis farm. We reached out to OCM and asked, where do we obtain seeds to grow cannabis? There was no outlet. That was our first delay. When the timing of the license hit, we acquired our genetics. We got plants ready. We got in the field. We got in July, 4 weeks late in Western New York. Very difficult to grow outdoor in New York so late. With the limitations, only using 20 lights, we went for it. We converted from our indoor to outdoor. With a 2-year license, conditional license, we decided to rent a farm, not knowing where the future was, opposed to buying our own farm. As we started to grow, the combination of early winter and the late start, we lost 30 to 40% of our harvest. We were faced with how to dry out our crops and how to save them for the snow and frost. On top of this, the OCM announced no dispensary to open in Western New York. Our company, Buffalo Kind, we want to be regional. We want to support Western New York. Once the dispensaries weren't open, we quickly pivoted from our current drying process to going out and buying a resonator crop cryo freeze system. We brought freeze trucks into our fields, cut our plants down, froze our product, which sits today in freezers, waiting for licenses and dispensaries to be open to sell. Last week, we were inspected by the OCM, Pat. He was fantastic, field inspector, truly an asset to the team, showed us what we were doing properly, made it very clear that he was proud of how we handled it, how we went to this new process of freezing, and told us that he would talk to the higher ups to help us acquire more processing license. From all of this, we've sat back and we decided we're here today to request a micro business license. We want to sell our own, farm to table. We know what we're doing. We've grown all our lives. We want to produce good products. We want to educate the people. We all know the easiest part to get into the game is to have edibles. It's the most dangerous part of the game if you don't educate customers. We are here to educate people from the beginning to the end. Sorry, I'm a little emotional today. I just want to say, this has been my dad, myself, and my brother, our money, our future, that we've gone for this, and we're holding on with everything we have here to stand alive. And I don't know how much longer we can. So to hear you guys talk about a micro business, allowing us to sell direct, to sell via dispensaries, or even delivery service, we can move very fastly. We have the ability to do that, and we think we can do it right. And we'd like to be a pilot for New York and show you guys how to do it right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Buffalo Kind.
And now I'd like to ask a Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes, if you will come please to the mic.
Thank you. First of all, I want to welcome you all to Buffalo, the great city of Buffalo. You're always welcome here. You should come as often as you can. And I want to applaud the people who are in the audience, because, there are a lot of people who love to think they know everything about what's going on. But then when it comes time to go into the place where you get the facts at, they're not here. And I hope that the people who are here will begin sharing the real truths in the community about what's happening. And this is a part of the real truth, that somebody has to be deep in the weeds, figuring out how to make the sausage taste good at the end of the day. That's what you all are doing. And I will remind people that if you look at any state that legalized adult use, or even any country, in fact, that legalized adult use, none of them were up and going in 2 years. None of them. And certainly none of them has an agenda like MARTA does. Social equity. We want to invest in New York farmers. We want to invest in the people who suffered the most harm. No one else has tried to do that. Now, I can tell you, I've met every major state operator in the country. They've been in my office. They've been to Buffalo. And they've been to Albany. I know they had a capacity. They could have had this all up and going in 2 days. But New York didn't decide to take that method. We decided to take a method that was going to invest in the people who had the most impact from the war on drugs. That's a challenge. You got to know, I've been in these places where I listen to people who don't look like me say there's no way Black people can ever be in these businesses. We have to be the one to run it because we know how to do it. Well, guess what? We know how to do it too, if you give us a chance. That's what this board is doing, giving us a chance. Now, I'm just going to ask people to be patient. If you think it's going to happen in 2 years and it hasn't, then you're not ready for this as a sustainable business. I hate to say it like that, but you're not. Because it's going to take more than that to be able to sustain yourself into this business into perpetuity in the way that can create generational wealth for people you don't even know exist in your family yet. But you have to be patient. You got to let, I think, both the Office of Cannabis Management, who really is headed up by some incredible people, I know them personally, and the Board of Control, I know them personally as well. And sometimes it's even hard for me to stay on track when I know that I would like to see things happen. So I scream on them a lot. But I think that's a part of my job. I mean, you cannot write good legislation that's supposed to have an impact on Black and brown people first and New York farmers first. You cannot write that in the statute and expect that it's going to happen if you don't maintain how it gets implemented. That's what I do. So that's when I have to scream on them sometime. But while I'm screaming on them, it's all for you. It's for you. I mean, I'm not interested in being in the business, but I know that there are a lot of people who are not only interested, but they're capable. And what you have poured into your farm so far, there are people in California who will come and pay you for your license right now. And they will not whine about what they've been through to get to where they are. They will take it from right there and make it happen. And that's what we have to do as well. I also will remind our board member that we actually did pass some legislation last week that is going to begin to look at how farmers can have access to selling a product that's still, quite frankly, governed by federal transport issues. And that's all still has to be worked out. And we're working that out because we understand what you sacrificed. And we never anticipated lawsuits. Well, I kind of did because I know they don't think New York can do this on their own. So every time they get a chance, they got to challenge what they think you're doing. This doesn't include them. And by the way, that will happen again because this is not a short-term opportunity here. This is a long-term opportunity. And it's only for those who are willing to put in and wait for that long-term opportunity. You can force these people to get it wrong, thinking you need this right now, and you gotta have this, and this is the way you need. You get it wrong in 5 years, 10 years from now, you won't even be in existence. Allow them to go ahead and stabilize the process. Now, I'm not just trying to convince you. I'm trying to convince myself as well to stay on this one. Watch the people who are getting it done. Support them when it's necessary and challenge them when you have to. But you got to support the effort that they're taking. If we can get this far, creating a brand new agency in the state of New York that is never seen before, in 2 years, imagine where we can be in 4. 4 years are not here yet. So I'm asking for your patience.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we are going to continue with the remaining public speakers. And I'm not calling on the next person to put them behind after the majority leader on purpose. You just happen to have signed up, Carrie Trammell. So, and then after Carrie will be followed by Todd Stimson. Is Carrie? All right. And Todd Stimson, you'll be the next person thereafter. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carrie Trammell, AUCC 000008, owner of the Relief Market in Jamestown, New York. I am also the secretary for the Cultivation Committee for Canny. First, I would like to say thank you for entering our space in Western New York. We're grateful you were all here. And I would also like to thank Roswell for allowing us to have this space. As a mother of a pediatric cancer survivor, they do great work. Thank you for all the card applicants that receive licenses today. We wish you all well in your future endeavors. I am here to advocate for the need of a grower showcase, or another outlet to sell our 2022 harvest. I have been attending my own town council meetings almost every month since 2021. And even though they opted out of retail sales, I have still been advocating for the cannabis industry and how we can keep things moving along to educate them to maybe one day they will opt in. Last week, I updated them on the grower showcase model or something similar that potentially could help people in our county have a place to sell our product. They have added us to the agenda for July because through my activism, they have learned that, we can educate them and they can learn from us. And so they're willing to give us an opportunity to bring them back some feedback and potentially give us a special use permit to hold this at our store. So, we're all struggling. We're emotionally, physically, financially strapped. We're all trying. We all just need an outlet. Just give us some outlet, any outlet. You can call it anything. It doesn't matter. Just give us an outlet. Give us a chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Todd Simpson, followed by Elise Bergio.
Hello, I'm Todd Stimson. I was born in Jamestown, New York in 1970. Cannabis awareness, knowledge or perception of a situation or fact. We need to raise public awareness of the issue. Our family's business was formed not for recognition or because of the prospect for money, but to raise public awareness. In 2011, we took steps never taken before in North Carolina by forming a cannabis business and purchasing North Carolina marijuana tax stamps that must be attached to cannabis in your possession, even though it's illegal to possess. That same year, we went through the United States Patent and Trademark Office to register the only cannabis ribbon in the United States. Fast forward to 2013, we paid thousands of dollars in marijuana tax stamps and actually received the registration certificate from the United States Patent and Trademark Office for the cannabis ribbon. 25% of our marijuana tax went to the North Carolina General Assembly, 75% going to the local police department. That same police department raided my family's house with AR-15s and sent me to prison for 25 months for growing marijuana with North Carolina marijuana tax stamps attached. Prohibition and someone's moral compass has engrossed my family's life for many years and has been the heart of most conflicts of our life. We want a life that provides a person with a sense of satisfaction that what they are doing is worth living for. Thank you.
Thank you. Elise Bergio, followed by Evan Redding.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Bergio. I am here as an attorney. I'm also on the New York State Bar Association's cannabis section. Just a comment, generally, I think it's important as we're rolling out these licenses and applications are about to go close to September is true party of interest is very complicated. I think that the lawyers in the room can all say that we're having a difficult time really designating the goods and services providers, which are exempt, non-exempt, MSAs, all of these really big issues with TPI that we are, I think, having a hard time getting our handle around and the type of interest that people should be taking on all of these businesses, especially with all the financial issues that people are having raising capital. And you can see this on all ends, right? You have AUCCs who are losing money every single day. The transition into the general is going to vastly change their TPI structures. You've got the DASNY fund, which is struggling to get moving, and people are having to find money now. And overall, we're just seeing a huge issue there. So all I can say is that I think TPI needs to be really vetted out, and hopefully we can talk with lawyers on this issue because they're the ones guiding and hopefully not committing malpractice. So thank you.
Thank you. Evan Redding, followed by Justin Merkel.
About a year and a half ago, I started working for my boss with his HVAC company. About 6 months into that, the opportunity of a lifetime came about. So far, it's been a struggle. Much of my boss's time is now dealing with cannabis politics, and us workers need his guidance in the field and for us to be able to get rid of our last year's crop and move forward with this year's. Currently, I am one of the few workers at Starlet 420, and it's getting more difficult to handle the workload with only a handful of us because we have a ton of expansion plans, and someday I want to be a leader of a team. And as of right now, that is something that can't happen until we can make enough to support everyone in the business. With all the medical companies coming in, it will be hard for all the smaller companies to succeed and expand. We really need you guys' help, so please listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Merkel, followed by May Backer.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here, Assemblywoman. I really appreciate it. Your last performance was quite well, and us farmers really took appreciation to that. So we definitely thank you. For our board, we also thank you guys for being so receptive to all of us. We do realize that you guys are trying to create an equitable arrangement for everyone involved. We absolutely appreciate it, but we do need something now. A lot of us were in hopes that this was going to be the day. When we seen the agenda, it was pretty disheartening. We're very glad that one of your board members was very loud this morning and kind of gave us a little bit more hope once again, but it's ending soon. Like, our hope is falling apart. As you can imagine, everyone's emotional, and we just want this to change. We want the market to open up. We need these micro licenses, temporary, emergency, something. Let's get these markets open. We can go to delivery within a month. We can come together as a CFA board member. We have the ability to arrange this. We can make it happen. Just please give us the authority. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. May Backer, followed by Juan Aguirre. Did I say that right? Okay, sorry.
Hey, thank you. I'm May Backer. I'm a cultivator at Grateful Valley Farm, AUCC license number 34, also a member of the Farm Bureau and the Cannabis Farmers Alliance. This is Dr. Daniela Vergara. We wanted to talk about aspergillus today. I have a statement from another one of our CFA members, Joseph Calderon, that I would like to read. So for aspergillus, he recommends amending New York State adult recreational cannabis testing methods for aspergillus from qPCR method with a pass-fail result to a total CFU of less than 103 CFUs per gram to realistically accommodate the adult recreation industry versus the medical cannabis industry. This 103 CFU threshold recommendation comes from publications from Dr. Daniela Vergara, including Cornell's recently published New York State Field Manual for Sativa Cannabis. Do you want to speak on that at all?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I'm Dr. Daniela Vergara. I've been a cannabis researcher and educator for 10 years plus. And aspergillus is a fungus that it's found everywhere. It's probably in our hands right now. So if it's found everywhere and you have a pass-fail test, you're probably going to fail. And especially if you're growing outdoors. I understand that medical patients may want very aseptic conditions, which may not be the case for other types of consumers. So we need to have realistic expectations on what people are testing and how are they testing for it. Aspergillus does pose a threat. It has been very researched in tobacco users. In particular, there's also some papers on cannabis users. So it does pose a threat, but again, we deal with it on our everyday lives. And so a pass-fail test may be unrealistic and may be hindering, especially outdoor cultivators.
And to continue on, thank you. To continue on Joseph's statement, amending the testing method for aspergillus will place the state's program more in line with current United States food and drug quality and safety standards. Other states like Oregon have changed aspergillus standards to accommodate their adult recreational operators and consumers. Due to the ubiquity of aspergillus in the environment, a new aspergillus standard will help unlock thousands of pounds of smokable flower that would otherwise be wasted as biomass or destroyed. OCM could enact guidance and related policy immediately. CFA recommends different definitions for medical grade cannabis and adult recreation cannabis and their respective testing methods. Additionally, recommended testing methods could be alternative, such as traditional culture methods and or antibody assays like ELISA, enzyme-linked immunoassays.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And again, there's other states that do have a threshold, and 10 to the 5, for example, is what is used in Colorado, and that could greatly help farmers.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Juan, followed by Michael Yeager.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and the OCM Board. My name is Juan Enrique Aguirre. I'm a registered nurse and a social equity dispensary license holder in the state of Illinois. And I'm also a consultant for a nonprofit organization that applied for a license here in the state of New York. I'm here today because we were advised on November 16th of 2022 at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time in a phone call with the enforcement department that we were cleared for licensure and being sent to the licensing department for final approval. And we were told by the enforcement department that our application will be approved at the next board meeting, or worst case scenario by the end of 2022. With this knowledge, we did acquire property. We have been leasing this property since then. And on February 17th of 2023, we had a follow-up phone call with the licensing department, and we were told that our card application was in the legal department for final approval. So I'm just here to advise the board that we're hopeful that we would be granted this license, but just wondering what's going on with the nonprofit licenses. And thank you very much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you.
Members of the board, I appreciate your time. It appears that we're working on a timeline for farmers markets, but we do have local existing farmers markets in cities that have opted in. So I would disagree with that we need brick and mortar solutions. We have those solutions here. We just need the regulations to be passed so that we can kind of further go forward with those markets. I would also like to address the potential legislation for Native American sales. Our existing costs for lab costs are greater than what Native American reservations are currently paying. So that legislation does not appear to really help us in any capacity. We'd actually be selling at a loss and furthering our losses. I'd just like to say that small farms cannot continue to accept losses. Some of us now are approaching 14 months with zero revenue generation. As we go on, those small farms are going to really face economic distress. Currently, based on our losses of last year, we're only growing at about a 30% capacity. I've let go basically all of my employees and basically working myself just to achieve that capacity. We might bring somebody on at the end, but again, that's not good for economic development in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Michael Kasaki, followed by Thomas Balestri.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Casaci. I'm a cultivator here in Western New York, license number 110. I'm also a member of CANI. I'm also a member of the Cannabis Farmers Alliance. I have been fighting and trying to get into the cannabis business forever in New York. And, I'm here now. I'm a licensee. I have been growing with my dad. We are in a beautiful greenhouse that we literally spent everything we had trying to set up. We borrowed extra money to get it going. We have beautiful flower coming out of our facility. And we were really hoping today we would hear some news about some new avenues for sales. That is a little bit disheartening, but we are excited to be a part of, this industry that's emerging. However, as we talk about, the MRTA, how it rolled out and what else is going on, things like, the ROs coming in this year is something that is kind of shocking to us because we built our business and purchased these things based on the MRTA, based on the ROs not coming in for 3 years. And now we're being told that this fall, when they get approval, they're going to be able to sell to the dispensaries that currently have only done 22 million in sales. So with us, with all this product here, we're going to be competing against the registered organizations now too. And how is that equitable? How was that set up in the original MRTA? And how did we make investments based on that law that now isn't going to be there? Oh, and by the way, they get to grow under lights. In my 40,000 square foot greenhouse, I get 20 lights. And they're going to be light years ahead of me years from now if they have the opportunity to enter that market and I don't have the opportunity to get the better quality up to the standards of what the market is demanding. So give us the opportunity to create great flower and give us the opportunity to sell it. And I promise you, we will be great, people in this community. And, thank you for your time. That's all.
What's good? Thank you for allowing me to speak to today's meeting. My name is Thomas Balestria Jr. I'm a mentee in the Cannabis Compliance Training and Mentorship Program. I'm here today to extend my appreciation to all the individuals that labored to allow me the opportunity to participate in the CCTM program and to ask the board as well as the office to continue to support the mentees from the CCTM program as we seek licensure in the adult use cannabis industry. There's a lot of legacy individuals in the CCTM program. Continuing to support, providing support for individuals to overcome knowledge and or experience gaps and provide resources that would be available to any other startup business by various agencies that cannot work with cannabis due to the continuation of cannabis prohibition on the federal level will ensure that the legacy community can transition into the well-regulated adult use cannabis market successfully. I'm also a justice involved individual, and I would humbly ask the board to consider releasing the data on which communities are going to be defined as disproportionately impacted as per section 87, paragraph 5, subparagraph G of the MRTA prior to the release of the final regulations to allow individuals to better prepare for applying for licensure and forming their business plans based on the resources that may be available to them. When I decided to apply for the CCTM program and seek licensure, I put a lot of time and thought into what that looked like and how I could become part of the solution, as I believe that anyone that enters the adult use cannabis industry in New York also takes on the responsibility to ensure that an equitable marketplace is formed that attempts to provide reparations for the injustices caused by cannabis prohibition. I am hopeful that I will have the privilege of being awarded a license in the adult use cannabis industry, and I look forward to working with the board to ensure that equity is achieved by building off of the commonality that we all have in cannabis and together forging a path towards mutual understanding and mutual prosperity. Thank you for all you do for the community and for your time today.
Thank you. Joanne Kudrich, followed by Dan Livingston. Joanne? Okay, so she will be followed by Dan Livingston and then Ed Cleary.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Joanne Kudrich. I'm the CEO of Ravensview Genetics, an AUCC licensee in Delaware County. I'm also the chair of the Canny Cultivation Committee. First, I would like to thank you for participating in our Canny Cultivation Town Hall event 3 weeks ago. I also want to thank you for using our forum to share the exciting news about this grower showcase model. Since that time, our committee has been working diligently with the county leadership across the supply chain to develop what we believe to be a tight operational flowchart as a basis for developing protocols and guidance for this model. We've also been working diligently to curate large-scale venue relationships across the state in order to best offer opportunities, not just to our individual farms, but to licensees all across the state for financial relief. You heard our challenges. You came up with solutions. You ignited a spark of hope among our communities. We see a light at the end of this short tunnel with the grower showcase model so that we can reap some of the revenues and benefits of our labor in 2022. While I understand now that you're planning to meet as a board, we ask you to work with us and to keep your foot on the pedal to move this program forward quickly. We want to start operations by July 1. We're at the ready. to communicate with you, to collaborate with you, to mobilize. We have deliverables for the legal team. Please don't feel that you need to do this in a silo. We can participate in creating the model. We are ready to meet to share insights and program development. We've considered everything: compliance, seat-to-sale tracking, POS systems, security, you name it, we've thought about it. Please act quickly. Many of us are depending on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Livingston, followed by Ed Cleary, then Damian Cornwell.
Nope. Hi, my name is Dan Livingston. I'm the Executive Director of the Cannabis Association of New York. I can't say much more than what Joanne already said before me, but I did come out here today because I wanted to let you know about something unusual that's happening right now with these grower showcases, with, you know, the talk of them at least, that throughout the industry, growers, processors, retailers, everybody's excited about this policy. And I haven't seen that since this cannabis legalization program started. It's pretty extraordinary to finally come up with an idea that everybody agrees is serviceable, workable, can solve problems across the board. And I came out here today because I spend countless hours talking to people in the industry, and I have for 4.5 years now. And there are a lot of people who couldn't make it out here today, and I wanted to speak on behalf of them. The Cannabis Association of New York has over 550 members stretched out across the state, representing the entire supply chain. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strife, a lot of disagreement in the industry. It's not uncommon. And I can definitely appreciate the work that this board and the Office of Cannabis Management does. I'm a former elected official. I know how difficult it is to get roasted all the time, and, you know, to be on the receiving end of a lot of criticism. But this is, you know, a pretty important moment here where you've come up with a policy solution that really the industry is gathering around, and you just have to take it over the finish line. There are a lot of folks here who have put a lot of work into fleshing out details of how this could work, you know, for retailers, for processors, for cultivators, for everybody in the industry. And I would just encourage you not to delay and to, you know, knock down any barriers that you can to get this program rolled out as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Cleary, followed by Damian Cornwell, then Jeanette Miller. Is Ed still here?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you sit. I'm sorry.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Edward Cleary. I'm partnered with my wife, Lisa Keller. We own Weaver Road Farms, and we are one of 4 cultivators in Chautauqua County. Our license number is 32. Forgive my nervousness. I'm not a public speaker. The majority of my comments will also be written down and submitted to the board. We have a hard story just like everybody else. I do not need to go into the details of our suffering. The wife has been keeping us afloat by driving for our local Walmart. And that time takes away time at the farm and puts more burden on myself. Like I said, I will yield my time and put more comments. I'm just honored that I get to meet this lady right here.
Damian Cornwell. Yeah. Followed by Jeanette Miller, and then Jordan Dericio.
Folks, thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you for all you do. My name is Damian Cornwell. I operate Just Breathe in Binghamton, New York. I'm the COO for the Broome County Urban League. I came up with Dan and the board president for the Urban League, and I'm also a board member for Canny. I just wanted to offer some words of encouragement and confidence for the Growers Showcase. So here's what I just want to frame up for you folks. I don't believe that you need new compliance to operate the Growers Showcase. It should be able to be done through guidance. Every day I come to work, every week, we inbound inventory from cultivators. We do all the track and trace duties. We report the reports to OCM compliance. We pay the taxes, make sure people get paid on time, which is key for us. And we secure the building, we educate customers, and we operate as good stewards and believers and advocates for this program. What breaks my heart is there are 30 cultivators on a wait list to get in the store. I can't take them all. We take as many as we can, but we're faced with the law of diminishing returns, right? There's only so much I can do and still pay in 30-day time span, okay? That's an issue. But if I could do what we do every day across the street, 1,000 transactions is gonna move about $1.2 million. So if we did it during July Fest or Speedy Fest, we would move more money than you could ever grant them in literally a couple weekends. And it wouldn't be a solution, but it would be a stopgap measure to help stabilize the market and buy us some time to fight another day. There's so many things. I love what you said. It was awesome. There's a lot of things to consider. There's no question. It's extraordinary, the fact that we're just a few months into this thing and we are where we are, but it doesn't alleviate the needs that you folks have or even us. And the thing is, from my perspective, I'm more of a social entrepreneur. Every problem that you have ultimately is going to affect me anyways, right? I can only be as good as my worst cultivator, right? So the store, we curate all of the brands. They're our partners, like teammates on a team. That's the reason why I came, trying to do my part. Now, I helped with some of the solutions. If we did this, we could offer the same track and trace. Cashless transactions was just key, right? We could eliminate a lot of those issues that you would think would require compliance, but they don't, because we do it like this every day now. Just gotta take a second and just breathe, right? No pun intended, right? Relax. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? Just need an hour to go through some of the stuff. And I tell you, I think we could bring it home. That's my story. Hope you have a great day.
Jeanette Miller, followed by Jordan Derizio, sorry.
Hi, everybody. Good to see everybody. My name's Jeanette Miller. I'm AUCC number 120. I am a co-founder of the CFA, the Cannabis Farmers Alliance. I'm also a proud member of Farm Bureau. I sit on our county board and then 3 state committees, the Cannabis Committee, the Specialty Organic Crop Committee, and the Pro-Ed Committee. I don't have to tell my story here because I'm in Western New York, my hometown, and when I look around the room, I see one of the strongest cannabis communities around. Like from in the room right now, I can look over here and I see future card people. I see second end processing. I see at least 8 of the AUCC people here today are CFA, and also some of them are Canny, and I think we're all Farm Bureau, but there's, I think, at least 10 AUCC cultivators here today. I see testing. The whole cannabis industry is in this room with you right now in Western New York. I see CBD people who are waiting to get into the industry, people who've been providing the holistic part. I want to say something. I heard great comments about how you want to work with us today. And I know that I heard the word begging, and I know it was probably not the most intentional word, but we didn't beg to get in because we were qualified. Okay. When the program rolled out, there wasn't anybody else more qualified than us to move forward with the program, right? We had been in the CBD and cannabis industry. A lot of us are legacy growers, but we also had built the infrastructure for growing hemp and then growing the CBD hemp. So we were qualified to be the first. And then throughout that hemp program, we educated right? We brought cannabis to Western New York. We helped desensitize and help take away the stigma that surrounded cannabis and how that it's, stoners, but really we're all educated people. A lot of us here come from medical industries and pharmacies and all, I'm an educator. I have my master's degree. So we helped bring this here, the farmers, the AUCC cultivators, and then we had to qualify. Okay, not only do we have to do it, we had to apply to the program and actually qualify. There were like 62 people on a short list. I was not one of them. I had to make sure I qualified and filled out all that paperwork and showed I earned it, and I did. And I have investors. Okay, I have investors who are betting on me, and they bet on me, and I had workers. I have a worker here today. These people bet on me. They want to come back to my farm, and they knew I could do it, right? They saw me succeed by growing this cannabis, this wonderful cannabis, but I can't bet on the state right now. And so how do I move forward? If they can bet on me and they want to give me more money and work for me and volunteer for free, when I say I'll pay them back when I finally am good, how can I do that if I can't bet on the state? And then this offer of micro business sounds great, but I needed the 2 years so that I could afford that on my own. I didn't want to have to go in with another investor. I wanted to be able to afford that. We could do a direct point of sale, just like a community supported agriculture. It could be online. They hit the landing page, boom, order, and then I go on my deliveries. Or I have my one location that they all meet me at, like a CSA. It could be a 1-point direct sale through a landing page. I mean, we could figure this out in 100 ways. And I know you guys know that. Micro would be good for some people, and I want to do micro, but eventually, that's eventually. I can't afford it right now. And then how am I supposed to bet on that too when the ROs are going to come out? So wait a minute. I put all my money into the CBD. Now I put all my money into cannabis, adult use cannabis. I grew 1,000 pounds. I have biomass. There needs to be something done with it. Now, the cannabis has to come first. If you don't have it, it doesn't go in the stores. So now we have the stuff we have to move. We have to start again this year, bring that into the stores. You're asking us to do that. Without us, who's going to do it? Except the ROs, which will crush us. But anyway, then you bring the ROs out. You're going to ask me to invest all this money in a micro business, and then the ROs come out and crush me again? Or the card people that want to become micro businesses also, and they should have that opportunity, but then now we're competing against each other. And now we're also going to compete against the ROs who have the ability to crush us. We have the only legal cannabis in New York State. The only legal cannabis was grown by us, and we need to find out how to, work with it to get it out to the consumers and then move forward so we can have the next batch going into the stores when they're ready, because we have the legal cannabis. Everything else is illicit or medical. And it's like the cart before the horse. Thank you guys for listening. Ed and them, they worked in Antarctica. Okay, like those people are hardcore. Sorry, guys, I'm calling you out, but I mean, that's amazing. And then for him to be choked up over here, I mean, when we're over here crying, we're strong people and we're like being vulnerable to you guys. And so I hope that you understand that. And then the support here, like we all are on different parts of the industry, but we're here in Western New York and like cannabis strong. This industry is family. Thank you guys.
Jordan, and then William Nicholas.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you very much for having me today. Thanks for inviting us all to be in here today. I'm somebody who's interested in getting into the cultivator industry. I'm very new, and I really just wanted to come here to observe the process, hear what you all had to say, and really just to kind of put forward, I mean, kind of what everybody else is saying, everybody who is in the industry and is having these struggles. There are plenty of people who are very interested in getting in the industry and are, I mean, beyond terrified by these stories that you hear today. I mean, a lot of people are like, what would be the greatest thing in the world? To have this business that I run myself? What would be the scariest thing in the world? To have this business, have it all sustainable, have it set up correctly, and then have, I mean, at the end of the day, paperwork and bureaucratic mess make you go bankrupt and lose it all. And I'm just here today to say, don't forget about those small people that maybe can't afford the leeway of time that a lot of the other bigger offerings have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bill Nicholas, and then followed by Richard McCullough.
I wasn't nervous, but now I'm looking at all friendly faces and I'm nervous. My name is Bill Nichols. I'm the technical director at BioTrax, which is one of the local laboratories, one of the 14 laboratories. As I listen to everybody, I agree. We're all together in this. Nothing hurts more than giving failed results to people who've put in such hard work. I understand the importance of it, but also it is very difficult, and that is my job at our laboratory. As we go about this, I've spent a lot of time over the last week, and I will continue to spend more time talking about this aspergillus issue. The only thing I want to really offer up is we are seeing that a lot in Western New York. And in doing so, I also want to make sure that the office realizes that they can utilize us. We have over 20 years experience in industrial microbiology. It's not just cannabis. We have places where we can help. We have a facility that could help. And I do believe that we need to look into that issue more. I could get into it. Obviously, I'm not going to in a 2-minute time slot. I'm happy to have that conversation. But there's a lot of people also in these little pockets trying to work on this issue. And it's a very big issue. And it's not just a New York issue, guys. It's a countrywide issue. My goal with this is to start bringing these players together so that we can start getting appropriate data points to make real decisions on it. With it. And as you guys go ahead and spend more time on this issue and look at this, because it does affect everybody in the state, keep us in mind as somebody that can help, because not only are we generating results, but we also have the ability to do some work on a research side of things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard McCullough, followed by Jeffrey Medford, and then Jeff Jones. So Richard.
Madam Chair. Hello.
No, you're off.
What do you know? Madam Chair, Ms. Wright, Damian, the board, it's great to be here and see you in person. Thank you, Assemblywoman Stokes, for your wonderful and passionate remarks. My name is Richard J. McCullough. I'm a working farmer in Western New York, Rochester, Monroe County. I'm a member of Black Farmers United. I was chosen to participate in the CCTM webinar to learn about compliance as a cultivator. It was an extraordinary experience, very illuminating. I, along with my colleagues, have a much better understanding of what is ahead, of what is necessary to get into this market. My thanks to OCM for the opportunity. It was a stellar start, really. My concern is financial. How Black farmers can have a chance to enter the cannabis market. What are your thoughts and ideas and efforts to help us even have a chance to get into the market? In other words, we need grants, we need low interest loans, something to get started. New York State has a wonderful opportunity, an opportunity of a lifetime to get it right. If social equity is real, let's one day in the not too distant future say New York turned the tide, had the guts, didn't give in to greed to make the mistakes of previous states. And we know what those states are. It's happening now. Let's tell our descendants, New York got it right.
Good morning, distinguished guests. My name is Jeffrey Medford. I am a cannabis cultivator. I am the co-founder and chair of the New York Green Coalition, a member of Black Farmers, and also a member of our mayor, Malik Evans' Cannabis Readiness Committee, and a graduate of the CCTM program. In getting into the program, we had to write what we thought about the outlook of our industry in cannabis. So I did so, and I'd like to share that with everyone. I wrote that about 6 months ago. It says, I feel that the future of adult cannabis use, adult use cannabis cultivation is really looking better. If you would have asked me this 6 months ago, my answer would have been entirely different. It is the very steps that some of us are taking right now to fill out this application that has changed my outlook towards the OCM and other regulatory agencies that are governing the cannabis space. As an African-American male and cultivator, social equity and social justice must always be at the forefront of everything we do if we want to level the playing field. Fair and equal access to capital, licensing, and recognition of decades of experience in the cultivation, processing, and distribution of cannabis is long overdue across New York State and many other states across this country. In this emerging market, if New York State gets this right, it will set a precedence throughout the entire world. And we will all become winners. New York has the potential to be the biggest marketplace in this entire world. We have a very bright future if we bind together in solidarity and in social equity. I'm going to end this off by saying that very much so, just like Crystal Peoples-Stokes, she delivered a very wonderful message, a very encouraging message. And though sometimes I can seem like a little bit of a rebel rouser, I would like to say that I'm so very happy about some of the things that OCM are doing. And I'm more and more happy about the class that we've just completed. I thought it was an excellent class. It brought some vital information, things that many of us would not have ever thought about. So hats off to you, OCM, Mr. Fagan, and some of the other people that brought it together, Mr. Jim Rogers as well. Yes. Thank you so much for the class, and we appreciate everything that you're doing. God bless.
Thank you. And our final speaker, Jeff Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Cannabis Control Board, thank you for listening to our comments here today. My name is Jeff Jones, an AUCC farmer based in the heart of the Finger Lakes Emerald Necklace. And I believe in the awesome power of cannabis to unfuck the world, to make meaningful contributions to some of the most intractable issues of our time. Thus, I have been so heartened by the intention that New York initially set for cannabis, with a powerful social justice message and the promise of an inclusive cannabis economy. But of course, good intentions are also the devil's road base. And unless sincere, sustained effort follows these good intentions, they rot. And real change never takes hold. It is word and deed that is important. And so I am profoundly disappointed in the current direction and deeds of the state of New York and the many entities represented in this room. Collectively, these agencies are not moving fast enough to create a viable marketplace for small businesses. Instead, we hear that you are about to greenlight 1 million square feet of indoor canopy controlled by the ROs and their corporate backers. One needs to only Google glass house farms to see how similar decisions have decimated small businesses in California. This is to the detriment of card shopkeepers working to make sales, the detriment of distressed farmers working to sell their flowers, and especially to the detriment of consumers who are unable to access tested products from trusted sources they already know. This slow pace only benefits the well-financed and well-connected cannabis corporations seeking to unfairly dominate the New York market. I hear a lot of talk of generational wealth. Generational wealth is not creating a deal flow pipeline of social equity companies who can sell out to corporations in the next 5 years. Generational wealth is creating enterprises that give our grandchildren and their grandchildren good livelihoods. Generational wealth is creating enterprises that restore our lands and ecosystems. Generational wealth is creating enterprises that help communities heal the wounds from decades of misguided cannabis policy and its brutal enforcement. You are not on your way to creating generational wealth. You are on your way to creating generational debt and despair. We had a suicide prevention professional on our recent cultivator call. That is heartbreaking. You are 100% on notice. If you do not take action now to increase access to markets, starting with the OCM Growers Showcase proposal, or I prefer the people's markets, then all of the rest, the words and intentions, the preferential licensing, the training and mentoring, the access to loans, all of which has been pretty damn good out of the gate, doesn't mean squat. Please get more cash registers ringing up New York's diverse, world-class cannabis products now, and truly make New York's cannabis economy accessible to small businesses. Thank you.
that was our last public comment for today, but I do want to say thank you to everyone that came out and speak and for sharing your thoughts with us. You have highlighted some of the hardest challenges that we've been facing, everything from time, the manner in which we communicate and or make things seem as if we're moving forward with it when they're not actually ready. We have to be much clearer about how we approach our work, and we want to make sure that we're doing better as we continue to engage with you so that you can understand the process that we're working through as well as some of the I'm going to say the factors that impact our ability to move and or whether or not we're able to just run with an idea. So I think that there is a lot of work for us to do, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and to let us hear the feedback, the real-time feedback on the manner in which we're moving. So I know that we want to continue to move this forward. It is not fault upon deaf ears. We are all still committed to figuring out a solution for not just cultivators, but our processors, as well as our dispensary owners, and also to figure out how do we shape this marketplace so that there is room, as I consistently say, there should be room for everyone here. So with that, I just want to turn back to the board and ask if there are any new business and or announcements from board members. New business? Yes. Mr. McDaniels.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. As of the end of today's meeting, I am resigning from the Cannabis Control Board meeting. It has been a tremendous honor to serve on this board, and I thank Governor Hochul for the opportunity to serve New York State in this manner. The governor's vision to make New York State a leader in cannabis social equity is a real vision, and I look forward to seeing it become a reality. I am proud to have played a role in building a new industry on the foundation of social equity. During my time on the board, we have accomplished a tremendous amount of work, and I know there's a tremendous amount of work ahead. DASNY and I remain committed to supporting the work of the board and the Office of Cannabis Management to create opportunities for individuals impacted by the unfair enforcement of cannabis laws. We will continue to work in partnership to support the entrepreneurs as they open dispensaries throughout the state. I'm grateful to the governor. I'm grateful to Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes, Senator Liz Krueger, and all of the legislative members who've been so supportive of what we're doing. Thank you, Chair Wright, all the board members who've been my colleagues. I know you spent countless hours reading documents. The work you've done behind the scenes is often unappreciated, but tremendously valuable to this effort. I also want to thank Chris Alexander and his staff. They've been very supportive of me as well as of this industry. And I know they're fully committed to making sure they can complete the mission of making the New York State cannabis the leader in the nation, both in the industry of cannabis, but also in the social equity and righting some of the wrongs of the past. And finally, I want to thank the New Yorkers, the citizens who have really stood behind the cannabis industry, those of you who have put your blood, sweat, and tears into this. It will be a wonderful day when we all get this right. It will take time, it will take energy, it will take effort. And I just want to commend all the citizens who have made that commitment and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you, Chair Wright.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you for your service as well. Yes. Thank you for being a part of the work that's that we're celebrating throughout all of these openings and new crops and everything else. This work began well before the bill passed, and we know that your work to help develop what it looks like to support our cannabis industry with small loans and financial assistance began well before we passed that law as well. So thank you, and we look forward to continue to work with you so that we can roll out this social equity fund. We have a lot of people relying on it. It is a heavy lift. We're glad that you're a part of it and that you've been leading the way with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. So with that, I guess we are now ready to move to closing of our meeting. Just a quick note about our next meeting. The time, location, and the live stream link will be shared on the cannabisny.gov site well in advance of the Cannabis Control Board meeting. A recording of today's meeting, the meeting minutes, and a transcription will be posted as well. So that concludes our business of the day. May I please have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.